Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you're watching me from. My name is Dr. Obioramba Iboeze, reaching you from Nkolo, Mahadum. Today's date is Afo Market Day in the 7th month of the Igbo lunar calendar called Onwa Alom Chi. And in the Roman Catholic calendar, today's date is 8/24/2024. Remember, at Nkolo Mahadum, we package lectures and present it from Biafran and African perspectives. We also encourage you to use your naturally given common sense, which we call in Igbo, Ako Nuche. Use your Ako Nuche. Don't always be following information being brought to you by somebody else, especially listening to your own person that is talking to you. And Nkolo Mahadum is where you get trusted information presented in Biafran and African perspectives. Share this program. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and other social media platforms. Recommend this Nkolo Mahadum University, Wisdom University, to your friends and well-wishers, to your family members, because all the lectures we are giving you are what you need to know. They are very, very, very important, that you see things from the ego eye of a Biafran. The title of today's lecture is Western Democracy and Her Funding is Not Working and Not Needed in Africa. Today's lecture is that Western democracy and her funding is not working and not needed in Africa. And democracy is defined as a system of government in which laws, policies, leadership, and major undertakings of a state or other polity are directly or indirectly decided by the people. But as you will observe as we go down the lecture, it's not actually the people that are making the decisions. It is the donors, those that are donating money to the political system. They are the one that is actually making the decisions, not the people. And one of the reasons Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University felt that Western democracy and her funding is not needed in Africa because, number one, it is not created by Africans. It is created by foreigners. The one in America is created by Americans. The one in Britain is created by the British. And so they are alien to Africa. And plus, they are very, very, very expensive. The cost of congressional election, that is Congress election, the election for representatives in America in 2022 was 8,937,000,000 and 407,772. While in 2020, the presidential race cost 6,946,079,092. It is very, very expensive. And just following the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump fundraising, just in July alone, Kamala Harris raised more than $310 million. And Trump also raised over $400 million. Where is this money coming from? Why do we need this type of money to elect somebody to an office to serve the people? That is not necessary in our own opinion at Nkola Mahadum. And who are the people donating this money to these politicians? Donations are made by individuals, companies, political action committees. The political action committees was created in the US, for example, because out of campaign reforms, where companies are not allowed to donate directly to the candidates. So the political action committees push all this money for members and donate those funds to the campaign they support, or use it against a candidate they do not like, or a legislation. Other people donating money to the politicians in America are the military industrial complexes. That is, the military industrial complex are those companies who publicly have announced having contracts with the United States Department of Defense. Some of these companies are Lockheed Martin, the Boeing Company, Raytheon, General Dynamics, General Dynamics Corporation, BAE Systems, to mention a few. There are also other PACs, amongst which the one you've been hearing recently is the AIPAC. What does AIPAC stand for? AIPAC is the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, which raises money and uses it to fund candidates in the American political system. And so what you have to take away here is that the Western democracy we are practicing currently in Africa, and you can use Nigeria as a test case, is foreign. It's not our culture. And it's very expensive. The laws that are using for that, they are using in Nigeria, they are foreign laws, colonial laws. The policies are World Bank and IMF policies and other donors who have sponsored these politicians, and the leadership, the leaders are imposed on the people. They are not from the people. They were not voted by the people. Majority of them not voted by the people. And so we don't need this type of system in Africa. We don't. Plus, it is very, very, very expensive, to operate. Very, very expensive. Plus, the structure itself, the structure under which we practice this foreign democracy, they created the structures too. The local government structure, the state and federal government, which we have in many African countries, were created by colonial masters. And so we did not create those structures. The structures that we have in place now is a colonial structure which is meant to exploit the people. And so Nkola Mahadum is advocating for Africans to do away with the current foreign colonial democracy and funding in Africa. And before we continue, we have to beg you again to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter and Facebook, like our program, share it and comment so that we know how we are doing. So Nkola Mahadum is suggesting that in Africa, let us do away with these colonial structures and democracy and their funding, because most of the people they say they are voting. Actually, in most cases, nobody was voted in. Most of them were rigged in. And those people in power, from the local government to the state governments to the federal government, were sponsored by donors, the ones we know and the ones that we don't know. And they are not actually a representative. They're not actually representing the people, doing what the people wants them to do. Instead, they are listening to their donors, because he who pays the piper dictates the tune. That's what you should know. And Nkola Mahadum, Wisdom University, is making the following recommendation. Do away with these foreign colonial structures and funding and democracy, and go back to the way we have been running our places. Let the West, for example, in Nigeria, let the West, the Yoruba people, go back to their monarchy. Your monarchy is the best thing for you. Let the northern Arewa people in the north go back to their emir system. The emir system is what will work for you better. And in the eastern region, which is Biafra land, we should go back to our republican and monarchical system. Monarchical system in Biafra land, because there are some communities that actually practice monarchy in Biafra land. And if it's working for you, if monarchy is working for you in Biafra land, practice it. That's what you need to practice. It is less expensive. It is there's little or no corruption in the system. You don't have to do any election. People are appointed into positions because of their record. There's no election needed. We don't need all this Western democracy election, this and that, because it's not working. That's what Nkola Mahadum wants you to know today. I think Nkola Mahadum, you should reason out of the box. Reason out of the box so that Africans will be better. And because we said we're going to be keeping everything short, so the takeaway today from today's lecture is that the Western democracy and her funding in Africa is not needed. Plus all the structures that they are using to implement that is not needed. But because the arrival of the Europeans, we have been managing ourselves. And we know how to manage ourselves. It is less expensive. It is little or no corruption. It has little or no corruption. It has better results oriented from the grassroots, especially in Biafra land. It goes through the family, the village, the town, and community. You don't need like a state structure or federal government structure. You don't need it. Maybe you can innovate on that and maybe have a military something, because the world is militarized. The world is full of wars. You can have like a central military to defend the people. But every other structure should be collapsed so that every ethnic nationality, every nation, every community will practice the best form of government that suits them. We don't have to continue to copying foreigners without questioning, without reviewing performance. Even though it's not working, you keep doing the same thing every day. Are you not a human being? The reason between a human being and an animal is that humans reason. Plus, we cannot continue to copy foreign. That is what we really need to change. This is what we really need to change. In Kolom Hadum Wisdom University, we advise you to think out of the box. Think out of the box. Be thinking. Don't just be accepting things holistically and be doing things that is not helping our people. Plus, it will give us identity when we are doing things in our own way and others see that it is working. It gives you more respect than copying what you don't know. And in most cases, even turning it upside down. And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. But before we end it, we must advise you to please, all Africans should work towards dismantling all the colonial boundaries in Africa. If you cannot go to Europe and tell them, you are now this country. You are now that country. Why should they come to Africa and do that? And you accept that in this 21st century. Say no and dismantle all the colonial boundaries in Africa. And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. Thank you very much for joining me. Again, my name is Obiora Mba. Thank you very much. Have a good day.